I caught this overzealous HOA president fumbling with her fancy master key in my truck's lock, trying to force her way in like she owned the place. Eleanor Whitaker looked up without a shred of embarrassment and said, "I have complete authority over every vehicle in this neighborhood." Every instinct in me screamed to lose my temper, but I stayed cool as ice. This lady had been bullying folks around for months with her made-up rules, but messing with my truck was her fatal error. When she panicked and dialed 911, bringing the cops running, they were about to uncover my real identity, and it would shatter her little empire. The late afternoon sun stretched shadows across Oak Ridge when I pulled into my driveway at 4:30, grocery bags tumbling on the passenger seat of my old Chevy pickup. What I saw froze me in my tracks. A woman in her mid-50s was bent over my driver's door, wrestling with a twisted gold-colored key jammed into the lock. Sweat beaded on her silver-streaked hair as she yanked and twisted, her buttoned-up blouse soaked through. She'd been at it for a good quarter hour, judging by the fresh gouges around the keyhole. I shut off the engine and watched her for a moment, drawing on 15 years of keeping my cool in tense situations. She didn't move like a common thief. There was an air of entitlement, like she truly believed that key should work, just as it did on everything else in her domain. When she finally spotted me, her face flipped from shock to scheming, then landed on smug outrage. It was almost artful, like she'd rehearsed it. "Ma'am," I said, stepping out slow and steady. "What are you doing to my truck?" My tone carried the weight of someone used to diffusing powder kegs. She jerked the mangled key free with a grating scrape and clutched it close, like it proved her right. "Standard vehicle compliance check," she snapped, sounding like a government inspector on official duty. "I'm Eleanor Whitaker, president of the Oak Ridge Homeowners Association, and this is well within my purview." Then she pulled out this ridiculous setup, a leather pouch on her belt holding a bunch of shiny gold-plated keys, gleaming like they belonged in a museum. "Master keys for all community assets," she proclaimed, stroking them like precious gems. "Gates, mailboxes, shared spaces, and yes, vehicles on HOA grounds." She said it with such conviction, like those keys gave her godlike power over the whole subdivision. I glanced at the scratched lock, then her flushed cheeks, noting how she'd pocketed the bent key quick as a flash. Without cameras or solid witnesses, it'd be her word against mine, a dead end in court. And from her smirking grin, she knew it. "I was verifying parking rules and safety standards," she went on, her voice steadying. "All residents consented to inspections in the covenants." The way she spun this nonsense with straight-faced assurance hinted at years of practice, bullying people with jargon until they backed down. She counted on confusion or fear to keep folks quiet about her oversteps. Her act was polished to make doubting her seem downright unreasonable, like you were the one disrupting the peace. I kept my face blank, relying on experience with power-drunk civilians. "Show me the covenant clause allowing vehicle inspections," I said evenly. Eleanor's smirk wavered. She fumbled with a folder under her arm, papers fluttering as she hunted for something I doubted existed. Her keys jingled with her nerves. "I don't explain policies to residents," she finally barked, ditching the search. "You follow them, understood or not." The facade cracked, showing raw bossiness beneath the polite veneer. She expected me to fold right there. A screen door squeaked nearby, and Mrs. Ellis poked her head out from the next cabin over, eyeing the scene with wary interest. She'd clearly been peeking through her curtains. Eleanor's shoulders tensed. She shot a nervous look at the older woman before composing herself. A witness threw her off more than my questions. "Eleanor, what's the ruckus?" Mrs. Ellis asked, her voice firm but kind, honed from years handling tough customers. "Official HOA matters, Dorothy," Eleanor replied, dripping condescension. But her voice quivered, eyes darting between us, weighing how this bystander complicated her bluff. Mrs. Ellis arched an eyebrow, and we shared a knowing glance, the silent agreement of folks spotting overreach. The older lady didn't budge, signaling she'd stick around. Eleanor realized her private intimidation gig was busted. She crammed papers back with sharp jerks. "This is my private truck," I said calmly, locking eyes. "Don't touch it again." "We'll see." Eleanor shot back, her tone laced with venom. She squared up, glaring. HOA rules trump personal whims on safety and upkeep. She stalked to her cabin 3 lots down, steps measured to show she was leaving on her terms. "I'll finish the inspection later, without interference," she called over her shoulder, the threat plain. I watched her pause at her door for one last hateful stare. This wasn't over. She was plotting round 2. Mrs. Ellis lingered on her porch, shaking her head with tired wisdom, like she'd seen this show before. The air hung heavy, like before a storm. Eleanor's bent key screamed her obsession and lawlessness. Paired with her criminal bent, our next clash promised real danger. That Friday evening at 7, I was on my porch with a cold beer, mulling the bizarre run-in, when Mrs. Ellis strode over with coffee mugs and a look like she'd bottled up stories too long. "John," she said, using my name for the first time since I'd moved in 6 months back. "Care if I round up some neighbors? You need the full picture on who you're up against." Soon, my quiet night turned into a neighborhood powwow that flipped my view of Oak Ridge. Mr. Hayes shuffled from 2 cabins away, a retired plumber in his 60s, hands rough, eyes weary from Eleanor's grief. The Thompsons followed, a couple in their late 20s who'd come for serene suburb life, only to have Eleanor crush it. As we circled on my porch and lawn, their shared fatigue was thick. They'd been under fire for months. This felt like their first real vent. She tried jimmying my garage last month. Mr. Hayes started flat, like he'd surrendered the fight. Called it a safety audit. Poked at my lock with those gaudy gold keys for hours till I caught her coming back from the store. He stared into his mug, confronted her, and she quoted some phony rule on outbuildings. Total baloney, but she sold it like gospel. The Thompsons shared a pained look. Sarah, a schoolteacher with early grays, leaned in fierce. We spotted her at the hardware store duplicating our house key last fall, she said, voice shaking mad. The clerk was cutting copies while she held our ring, claiming emergency access for all properties. We walked in, saw it. She didn't flinch. Mark jumped in. Told the clerk it was HOA standard, that we'd agreed in our docs. We had to prove we owned our own keys to stop her. His jaw clenched. Worse than the theft attempt was her belief she was entitled. No permission needed. Mrs. Ellis nodded grave, pulling a notebook crammed with dates. This is 18 months of bullying, she said, her teacher roots showing in organized facts. Flipping pages revealed Eleanor's terror. Bogus tickets for mailbox spots, garden gnomes, violating standards. One family got dinged for their kids' sidewalk chalk. Another for wind chimes, causing noise pollution. Challenges brought piling fines and emergency meetings on non-compliance patterns. The mind games are slick, Mrs. Ellis went on. She twists covenants to make you question your rights. Convinces folks lawsuits would bankrupt them. It was classic coercion, eroding will with stress and pseudo-legal threats. I listened, my cop brain filing patterns of harassment, maybe fraud. Anyone logged this officially? I asked, seeing defeat in their faces. Patterns build cases against abuse. Hope flickered. Mr. Hayes sighed. Too scared. She makes you feel crazy for pushing back, with all her legalese. The manipulation isolated them, hiding the group abuse. I eyed Eleanor's cabin, lights paced shadows. She'd spied our meet, fuming at what she saw as rebellion. Paranoia typical of tyrants. Resistance means plots, not pushback on wrongs. At 8:15, her door flew open. She charged in a blazer with a laminated HOA president badge, keys clinking like alarms. Unauthorized gathering, she yelled from afar, jabbing fingers. Noise breach. Disperse or fines. She waved pre-printed tickets, ready for this. Conspiring against board power, she ranted, her shouts ironically the loudest noise. Mrs. Ellis rose dignified. Eleanor, my property, my guests, my talks. No say here. The firm stand rattled Eleanor. She expected cowering. Group defiance wasn't in her playbook. Her papers shook. You'll all face eviction for plotting, she sputtered. This is mutiny. Got those rules written? I asked casual. Panic flashed. She didn't. I don't prove to you, she exploded. My say is law. That slip confessed her view. Above rules, no need for proof. She fled ranting, slamming her door hard. Emergency meeting tomorrow. You'll learn respect. We sat in cricket chirps, processing. The challenge was on. Tomorrow's meet would crown or crush her. Saturday at 2, Oak Ridge's community hall buzzed like never since I'd arrived. Eleanor had prepped all night for her emergency session, signs blaring, security threat review, and criminal infiltration alert. She sported her navy blazer, badges galore, keys like medals. I showed early, wondering her spin on yesterday. The hall mimicked court, Rose facing her podium, like a judge ready to rule. Mrs. Ellis, Mr. Hayes, and the Thompsons arrived wary but curious. By 2:15, nearly all adults packed in, the biggest turnout ever. Eleanor banged order, handing packets. Violation dossier on John Harlan's property. Inside, photos of my truck in legal spots, store lots, driveway, like proof of crime. Absurd effort for nonsense. This man shows aggression to authority, she pointed dramatic. Threats during inspection, illegal meets to undermine, suspicious acts hinting crime. Her tail twisted. My calm ass became intimidation, coffee chat, rebellion. Paranoid fantasy where questions equaled conspiracy. Seats shifted uneasy as her lies grew wild. Mrs. Ellis raised hand steady. Eleanor, that's not accurate. John just wanted policy proof. Fair ask. Eleanor condescended. Dorothy, you've been duped by agitators exploiting our defenses. The treasurer piped up soft. Maybe lawyer check before rash moves. Expulsions need process. No delays for safety. Eleanor snapped. Active threat demands action. I stood. May I speak? My side differs, with proof. I recounted catching her keying my lock, her inspection claim, no docs. Factual, no drama, stark against her rants. A young dad rose angry. Eleanor, you tried breaking in, then lied here. That's not leading, it's crime. Eleanor unraveled. You're manipulated, she shrieked, jabbing. Agitators divide us. Board whispered, treasurer stood. Table till legal review. Claims need vetting. Eleanor snapped red-faced. Fine, but she shredded packets, scattering shreds. If proof won't sway, action will. She shook keys. I hold power here. These prove it. No need you're okay to guard Oak Ridge. Words tumbled manic, 18 months madness erupting. I'll prove his threat, like it or not. She stormed out, toppling chairs, muttering handle it myself. Silence fell. Residents grasped she'd crossed from bully to menace. Mrs. Ellis broke it. Call police. This is beyond us. Nods agreed. Today's humiliation pushed her to extremes. Saturday at 6, Oak Ridge felt eerily still, the calm after a storm witness. I porch sat, book in hand but eyeing Eleanor's cabin, lights flickering odd since her meltdown 4 hours back. Shadows darted frantic. She emerged twice, scanning before ducking in, like amateur spy games. Her afternoon freakout signaled deeper instability than mere anger. Cop years distinguished bad moods from dangerous breaks. Hers was the latter, unpredictable. My phone pinged. Mrs. Ellis noting weirdness, confirming group watch. The meat united against her, isolating her. Combo often sparked desperate acts in control freaks. At 6:30, Eleanor lugged a laptop to her porch, typing fierce, glancing my way long. Calls drifted, full background on a resident. Expedited, cost no object. Another, investigator for hidden IDs. Stalking mode, convinced my pushback hid crimes. In her head, only crooks questioned her, normal objection didn't compute. Her obsession aimed to expose me, justifying her madness. I fetched my sheriff badge from the safe, and used 6 months on leave, weighing reveal. But early outing might fuel paranoia, worsen acts. Around 7:15, a tow truck rumbled in. Eleanor flagged it to my truck, waving papers. Driver circled, checking plates. I approached calm, curious her new ploy. Afternoon, the driver said, seasoned patience. Call for unauthorized vehicle removal per HOA. Eleanor beamed, thinking outsiders bypassed resistance. Parked violating standards months, she declared. Owner ignores warnings, remove for values. Her doc, fake citation, codes, fines, forged board signs, post-meet invention. Driver eyed my reg. Ma'am, registered, insured, on owner's land. Need court order or cops, not HOA paper. Eleanor blew. I'm paying, hook it. Forget red tape. Demand ignored law. Driver saw liability. Civil matter, proper channels, he said, packing. I'm president, she screamed after him. Authority over all vehicles. Failure with audience stung worse. Mrs. Ellis emerged concerned. Eleanor, inside, cool off. Tough day, perspective helps. Suggestion sparked rage. Don't order me. You're all against authority. Paranoia peaked. She circled my truck, tracing scratches, resolve hardening. Muttered, if normal won't work, extreme measures. Pulled lockpicks, holding aloft. Opened everything before. Real power beyond keys when uncooperative. Mrs. Ellis gasped. Phone snapped pics of tools. Eleanor oblivious, thinking display intimidated. Tomorrow, you'll see leadership with tools and will. Threat clear, break-in planned, tools shown. Brazen felony intent before witnesses, catastrophic legally. Her parting glare promised action, door slammed like war declaration. Mrs. Ellis neared alarmed. John, she threatened break-in with tools. Not bluff, she's unhinged. Sunday at 2 dawn normal, belying last night's threats. I'd rigged phone cam on my truck's door, expecting follow-through. Plan, usual grocery at 2:15, but store flood closed it, home early. At 2:05, turning in, saw Eleanor hunched over my lock with pro pics, scratches fresh, 15 minutes in. Textbook burglary, tools, intent, damage, not HOA, felony. Competence hinted prior crimes. Park distant, filmed clear. Case solid, trespass, attempt entry, damage, tool possession. Stepped out. Ma'am, away from my truck now. She jolted, nearly dropping pics, spinning panicked, caught cold. Face flashed guilt, tools in hand, lock mangled, witnesses emerging. But denial kicked. Not what seems. Security test for vulnerabilities. Filmed on. You're breaking in with burglary tools. Name and explain possession. Request procedural, court gold. Eleanor's eyes wild. She saw escalation as answer. Right to inspect for safety. Overrides rights in threats. Mrs. Ellis out urgent. Eleanor, those tools. What are you doing? Question obvious. Audience rattled her. He's blocking inspections, she yelled. Hiding dangers, threatening safety. Tactics hit wall, residence done. Mr. Hayes pointed. Burglary tools, Eleanor. That's crime, not check. Unified push deep in desperation. You're shielding him. Part of his secrets. Hand to pocket. I tense for weapon. Phone out instead. Calling 911. With tools in hand. I asked, puzzled by logic. Hesitated, then dialed. Convinced cops sided with her over evidence. Watching her summon her doom, tools visible, was surreal. She'd sealed her fate perfectly. At 2:15, Eleanor dialed 911 clutching pics. Sure cops validated her crimes. Disconnect staggering. Filmed, her words evidence. Police now, she urged. Threatened at 12:47, Oak Lane. Fabricated spot, fictional threat. He's blocking HOA inspections, dangerous. Twisted, her burglary, my threat. Send units, he might arm. Escalated to weapons for priority, extra charge. I stood distant, filming. Dispatcher probe threats, Eleanor fumbled lies. He aggressed during compliance check. Hiding, resisting. Irony lost, tools over damaged lock. What threats exactly? Audible. Eleanor paused, then lied. Witnesses confirm. Gestured at Mrs. Ellis, Mr. Hayes, dragging them in. Not true. Mrs. Ellis yelled for dispatcher. She broke in with tools. Contradiction cratered call. They're scared of him, Eleanor shrieked. Photo tools pre-cops. I asked neighbors, procedural. Eleanor kicked pics. Not mine, planted. Mr. Hayes snapped pics, disgusted. Sirens neared. 2 cruisers flashed in. Eleanor's panic mixed relief, thought backup. Thank heavens, she rushed, pointing. He threatened during inspection. Lead officer, Bradley, eyed picks, scratches, mismatched to her tail. His partner, Cooper, cautious. Explain tools. Bradley asked. Not mine, planted. Eleanor claimed. Mrs. Ellis, saw her using on truck 20 minutes. Cooper, damage matches entry try. What happened? Caught her picking lock, video here. Video mentioned perk them. That's fake, doctored. Eleanor desperate. IDs requested. Eleanor proud. Eleanor Whitaker, HOA head. Authority for inspections. I gave license, badge. Bradley examined. Sheriff Harlan? Tone shifted professional. Cooper radioed confirm. On leave, address match. Eleanor's face fell. Fake badge. No sheriff here. Dispatch confirmed. Dynamic changed. Crime on officer. Video showed her pics. False call. Irrelevant. He intimidates. Eleanor yelled. Mrs. Ellis detailed 18 months harassment. Bradley. Pro tools. Explain possession. Eleanor ranted. Inspect right. Badge abuse. Cooper. Arrested. Attempt burglary. False report. Tool possession. Rights. She screamed conspiracy in cuffs. Sight of her caged. Tools bagged. End of terror. 2 weeks on. Oak Ridge bloomed free of Eleanor's grip. Sun threw oaks on a peaceful hood. No patrols. Just normal life. Her plea. 18 months probation. $5,000 fine. 200 service hours. Restraining order banned her. Sold cabin. Moved county out. Financial hit taught accountability. Mrs. Ellis elected president Democratic style. Reformed bylaws for privacy. Limits. No bogus tickets. Morale soared. Values rose. I resumed sheriff duty. Commuting from cabin. Balance work. Home. Badge and window reassured sans fear. Healing quick. Families returned. Investments flowed. Civil suits compensated victims. Settlements deterred. Her gold keys destroyed. Symbol smashed. Case spurred county HOA reforms. Oversight emphasis. Weekends. Lake fishing with neighbors. Serene. Kids played free. Adults socialized sans worry. New folks got clear rules, not whims. Values climbed. Word spread of change. Justice via channels reinforced my path. Respect over force. Eleanor's service at courthouse. Ironic supervision. Her fall taught true power serves, not controls. Breeze carried laughs. Chats. Life sans drama. Eleanor's tyranny ended in legal triumph over fake might. What do you think about stories like this? Have you dealt with power abuses or injustices in your community? Share in the comments, especially on violence and unfairness in daily life. Take a stand. Was her punishment fair, or should it have been harsher? Express your views. Let's discuss.